What's going on, people? Welcome to the Transfer View. Welcome back to the channel. Good morning. Smash a like on the video. I'm late to the party. I've just found out that Erik ten Hag stays, and I'm going to give you all my thoughts, all my feelings. I've heard Owen speak about it. I've heard KG speak about it. I've heard Marcel praise God and Owen Churchill, the first of his name. Owen, you brilliant man, Owen. You are 100% correct, Owen. God is great, Owen. I've seen Minna come through. Brilliant. And more importantly, all of you guys in the chat have your say online. I've seen the people who are fuming about it. I've seen the people who are happy about it. I've seen the people who are in the middle. And the biggest thing about yesterday is obviously the news that he's staying, but what was starting to transpire about not only that, but all the things that Owen was bringing up. But like, if he does stay, what sort of backing has he got? Well, the reports are saying not just that, but INEOS want to make him their appointment. I thought Owen made some really good points about that. That like, not just are they saying we'll hang on with you, they're trying to make an actual statement. In the end, whether they got there rightly or wrongly or went around the houses, by the end of it, it will be their guy because they're going to give him a new contract, which changes a lot. So we're going to be talking about Ten Hag staying, the contract talks. What does that look like? There's transfer news now. It feels like, ironically, it rolls out of the manager situation into player situations. Juventus looking to get Mason Greenwood from Manchester United. So loads and loads to get into. Obviously, I've got a lot to say for myself. You guys still got a lot to get off your chest. So does Owen. So does everyone. So smash a like on the video. We already got nearly 800 people watching straight away, which is absolutely dope. Nearly 200 likes already. 85% of you have said you've liked the video already. 15% of you haven't, so make sure you guys get that done. It's going to be a jam-packed show.
Yes. Was it my cue? Yes. There is quite a lot to talk about when it comes to Erik ten Hag, and we've got a bit more coming out of obviously the news that came out late last night regarding him and him staying at Manchester United. So let's get straight into all of this. Of course, the breaking news was from David Ornstein last night, saying Erik ten Hag is to stay as the Manchester United manager. Manchester United's end of season review has culminated with a decision to keep ten Hag as the manager after talks yesterday, which, as Minna pointed out on the phone, nobody knew about, by the way, and it's not as if they were ad hoc talks. So it goes to show how things are being kept pretty close by INEOS at the moment. After talks yesterday, Ten Hag will remain at Old Trafford and hold negotiations over a contract extension. Probably the biggest part of that, actually, is the second part of it. Now, Fabrizio Romano has said Erik ten Hag is happy with INEOS' decision, and there are no personal issues despite this long review. He's only focused on the Manchester United project. His role in developing youngsters like Kobbie Mainoo and Alejandro Garnacho have been a key factor as INEOS want to keep following that way. Trust young players. Now, a bit more on this comes from Rich Fay, formerly of the Manchester Evening News. He's now to a different outlet, I think it's like Manchester World or something like that, saying there is a feeling that Erik ten Hag has done well to achieve what he has done already with this Manchester United squad. New contract talks of Erik ten Hag could see his role change to a head coach instead of a manager as part of an ongoing restructuring of the Manchester United hierarchy. Mike Keegan also followed this up by saying Manchester United's win in the FA Cup final strengthened Erik ten Hag's case to stay as Manchester United manager. Manchester United officials want to see how Erik ten Hag will operate under what they believe will be a new structure aimed at ensuring he is given the best opportunity to succeed. And finally, as Rob Dawson has said, talks are now underway about a contract extension for Erik ten Hag at Manchester United. Manchester United have said the clear conclusion of the end of season review was for Erik ten Hag to stay as the Manchester United manager. So all now saying the same thing, based off really what David Ornstein has said and probably also what the club has put out there, because make no mistake, I think this is important to consider too, Flex. There is an element of damage control, I think, from INEOS because there have been criticisms as to how they've handled this postseason review. So I think they want to try and frame it the best way possible of, well, look, we took our time, but we've come to a decision we're very happy with, and talking to other managers, that was just part of the process. There are no hard feelings, blah, blah, blah. But now's the time where we can finally move on from talking about this. And yes, so obviously yesterday, just to give the folks a bit of a peek behind the curtain, when the news came out, Flex was standing on a train platform, and the intention was to get Flex on the show last night, but if Flex was on the show, he'd probably still be on that train platform right now because he wouldn't have been able to get home, basically. So that was the situation. So what are your thoughts on everything you've seen over the last 12 hours or so?
Yeah, mental. I'm standing, I finish off at Talksport, get to London Bridge Station. Owen rings me, and it's quite late. So I'm like, he doesn't normally ring me at this time. He's like, we've seen, I just sent you the stuff about Ten Hag staying. What? What do you mean?
Well, just in general, if I call you, I'm very much a
Yeah.
texter or a
Yeah,
messenger. You
he
know
is.
what I mean?
He's a texter and voice noter. So if
Yeah.
he rings me, he needs to know something this second that can't wait, or it's big news. So I usually get quite excited, or nervous, or worried, and or all the above if I see Owen is calling. But yeah, I was like, oh, interesting. Let me look at this. So I didn't really get a chance to look at the bit about the extra the contract extension stuff like that. And you know what? I just had this instant sort of sigh of relief. I did. I did. Before Marcel made some good points, although he makes them in amazing ways, which I just love him for. When he says, Owen, I sit in a room by myself with my thoughts and nobody else basically can get in. Like,
He
it's my
meditates.
opinion.
That's what he
Yeah,
said. I
that's it. He
meditate.
said, I meditate. He said, I meditate in my room with nobody there, and it's my thoughts and the opinions of others don't get in. So that he's right. Like, before I got a chance to sort of soak in what everybody else might think of it, my true, honest feeling when I saw it was, well, finally, some clarity. He's staying. I didn't get into they went round the houses, they didn't really want him, they just stuck with him. And I just thought, my instant thing was to tweet, which I did. Like, finally, let's just move forward now. It could just draw a line under it. That stuff is over. We know who our manager is. And actually, of course, we were saying it was taking the piss with how long it is, and Eric Ten Hag's, right to feel aggrieved, and this is taking what more information do you need? But it's still not too late where we're in big trouble and we've left it too late now. The confirmation came, don't want to say quick enough. It felt like it didn't, because we feel like we could have had this 2 weeks ago. But now it has happened, and quite quickly, and it's talks in new contracts, and just to move forward, it feels like good, right, fine, draw a line on it and get going. And I just felt like a big sigh of relief of no more 50-50, like, is he, isn't he? Are they talking to this one? Literally the day before, when we did that nobody knows piece, it was like, that's where we was. That's where we was at. We was at the place of like, nah, do you know what? Nobody has a clue what's going on. And this is actually really bad on Eric. And then I sort of turned my attention to Eric, and I was like, you know what? Well done, Eric. This guy has fought tooth and nail to stay here. He started to understand how to be more bullish in the press conferences and fight back. He also started to fight back post FA Cup final, when he started saying, no problem, I will go and win if you guys don't want me. I'm ready. I believe in myself. I win trophies. And you're an idiot and you don't know about football or anything about coaching a football team if you think that not having that much players available doesn't affect your squad. You can't play your football. And I just felt for him, this level of vindication is actually good. It really is. And the fact that they're going to give him a new contract is good. Is there pressure on Eric Ten Hag? Absolutely. It's over to you now. You have to deliver. You've been very bullish in saying that the injuries this and the players this and that and the other. But it is over to you. And also INEOS, over to you now as well. We were saying back or sack him. Do one of the other. And they didn't choose to do the in-between. What could have been easy for them to do after this review is actually say, we're carrying as we are. The bit that technically, actually, I was suggesting. I was like, they
Well,
don't have to give him a new contract.
sorry to interrupt, Flex, but
Breaking news.
a bit of breaking news coming from Fabrizio Romano right now, and it's an extension on what was really being reported by David Ornstein last night, and that is that talks between Manchester United and Eric Ten Hag's agents are already underway and advanced, with all parties anticipating an agreement on a new contract. Ten Hag is happy to sign and continue the project, while INEOS want to give him total trust for the future, a work in progress. And to me, I mean, sorry to cut you off there, but I mentioned this last night. For me, that was obviously the big news. The biggest news is that he's staying, obviously, because that's the immediate stuff. But really, that part after it was the thing that I was looking for most, because that was one of my big concerns. I mentioned it a lot over the last week or so, that we talk about environment, and Sir Jim is talking a lot about environment. And, the reason that these managers haven't succeeded is because the environment surrounding them isn't appropriate or isn't the best environment for them to succeed. And I kind of looked at it and went, well, I'm looking at this process that's going on at the moment. You're talking to other managers, you're actively having these conversations and discussions. If he does stay and he's just got a year left on his contract and nothing really changes from his perspective, what foundation is that to build upon? Not really, because you know that, well, actually, maybe the only reason I'm here is because they couldn't find someone else to replace me, or they couldn't find the right guy, or their ideal guy isn't available right now. Like, there would be a lot of permutations. So, and I am pleasantly surprised by, this notion that he's going to get a new deal. I don't know if it's going to be a super long-term extension. It must be said. I think it might just be. I think it might just be rewording of a lot of things. I think maybe that optional year suddenly becomes more concrete. So he's got a year left plus an option. Maybe he signs a 2-year deal extension or something like that. Maybe. But importantly, he's no longer the Manchester United manager. He becomes the Manchester United head coach. Those questions we had previously about his responsibilities of, can they actually change that? If he's got it in writing in his contract, this is how you do it.
And whilst you do it, Eric, we'll top you up with an extra year as well. It is a trade-off, isn't it? It is.
Yeah.
And that is how you come to sort of a mutual situation of trust, of like, I'm sort of risking as much as you are. I came into Man United as manager with all of this power, with veto over the transfers, with all of these things that I remember the lead up to when Erik ten Hag wasn't confirmed yet. Remember? And all the reports were saying he's with John Murtough, but he's saying, listen, mate, I ain't signing unless I get assurances of this, and this. I know how effed up Man United is. I know what it's going to take to rebuild it. And I need control. I need this through the academy. I need to bring Mitchell van der Gaag and all of this stuff. I need what I need. And if you don't give it to me, I ain't coming. And they gave it to him. Now, some of it was to our detriment, where you've been saying it, and we've all been sort of looking at the identification of the talent and the types of players he was going for. Usually some way or another, even if it was as far back as like an Amrabat did, or as far back as like a Mason Mount played against him with Vitesse, but when he was Malacia played against them at Feyenoord, there was always some way, or just a straight player who just played for him. There was always some way of a relationship or correlation with Ten Hag. So you could tell, like, these are his players vibe. And we were like, not sure about this. I think this has gone too far left. But that's that bit. But then for INEOS, they're saying, well, listen, we're backing you. We're going to give you a new deal, but also you're going to now do it for Ten Hag. He's like, right, I'm going to fall back. I do want to stay here, and I do want your backing, but I'm also going to sign this piece of paper now that gives me a whole new title that I wasn't expecting to have, a new way of working that I wasn't expecting to have. But there's a feeling of optimism that, like you're saying, from the INEOS side of you, Erik ten Hag needs exactly this to be even better. The right environment, the right coaches, the right transfer people, doing negotiations, doing the contracts, the way to get the people out of the club, the right philosophies, all of that. And there's a view that Man United need this in terms of giving Erik ten Hag better tools to do his job. So actually, that trade-off all around now seems to be from going from this seems fishy and like, I don't know about this. And now the news is so strong from well-placed sources that Erik ten Hag's fine at the fact they were trying to look at this overall. And they went, yes, you are the right guy. And we want to show you that by giving you this and vice versa. And it feels like they're aligned now. But now it's over to them to make the changes now.
I think some of the concerns, and this is why I think it is positive news. One, because like I said, I after the FA Cup run in particular, I just didn't see how they could go down that route of getting rid of him from how a popular and divisive decision it would have been anyway. And then on top of that, I do feel like he had bought himself more time. But my big thing was there needed to be change. Things couldn't stay the same because the way things wasn't working. Let's be honest, it wasn't working. So things needed to change. And some of these changes, I look at as really positive changes. Like we were saying, take the recruitment away from him. Focus just on coaching. Okay, that's fantastic. Have the people above him and maybe, force him to be a bit more adaptable at points as well. If the tactics, you do the stubbornness over and over and over and over and over and over again this season, you've got someone like a Jason Wilcox goes, no, that's not how we want to play. You're going to have to play different. You're going to have to adapt. I look at that as, again, being positive. Also, One of my I mentioned this a lot during the season too. Erik ten Hag was not an INEOS hire, an INEOS guy. So when things get bad, they can easily look at that and go, "Well, he's not really our guy. We didn't put him in place there. So if we had our guy in there, we'd be working with our structure, it'd be totally different." If he signs a new contract with a new title, new position, different responsibilities, he becomes an INEOS hire. He becomes an INEOS guy. They put those pieces together. Well, he's not the Manchester United manager. He's almost the INEOS head coach, if you will, that they put in charge in this structure, and that will go a long way to if it does go a bit bad next season, because then they can start backing him because they believe in him. That's a statement of intent that they believe in him. But just finally, and this is kind of the point that I know won't be popular with all of this, because my viewpoint on this really hasn't changed. This does not give him, by the way, this immunity card from criticism. That was always my point last season. So if we see some of the same stuff, same mistakes, same problems, or if he makes tactical errors in a game or what have you, or if he doesn't get results, he will be under pressure again. That is the currency of football. How has he kept his job? How has he saved his job? He got results when it mattered at the end of the season, and he won a trophy, because that is the currency of football. If that doesn't happen again next season, he will be under pressure again, because that is what happens when you're the Manchester United manager. So I do see it as positive news. I see the change in his role as positive news. As I've mentioned before, I see the INEOS changes above him as positive news. Always have seen those as positive news. And now, like you said, it's on to INEOS to have a strong window, and it's also upon him to have a strong season next season, because we can't flex is muted. We can't have the same as what we had previously.
Exactly that. We don't. Here's the thing, right? I've got a positive level of optimism, and I feel quite, happy that this decision's been made. And it was interesting when you. This is why I love KG, because he obviously is glass half full in the way he views life. You're like, nah, I'm not trying to bask in the glory and act like I, was Ten Hag in all the time and basically shit on the people that
because I wasn't. That'd
you
be a
wanted him out.
lie.
Yeah, and he's like, no, there has to be a winner and there
Yeah.
has to be a loser. Be a prick. Which I'm not gonna lie, I do see, like, when you look online and there's like people that are angry and saying this ain't gonna work and this that. I look at it and I'm like, come on, Eric, just prove them. This could literally be. There's so many points last season. I don't know, when he was just iconic scenes, right? That you could look back in a Amazon type documentary of like turning points of his like time here. If we got back to the promised land under Eric, right? And you'd go, I know it was a different season, but say you compiled misery in a thing, 7-0 at Anfield, 4-0, all the licks we got off City, Liverpool games. What else? You'd look at like Palace 4-0, look at him walking slowly. Even though we only lost the game 1-0, that clip of him getting drenched after the Arsenal game, walking across the pitch. Like, there's, so many, Fulham at home when the camera pans into him after we've lost. There's so many things you could put as like the bit that turned it around. And we could be looking back and saying like that bit where INEOS could have got rid of him after that FA Cup final and they didn't. And not only did they not, they backed him. And now look at our squad. Now look at the football we play. That's what we want to be able to say. But you're right. We don't know. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I'm very hopeful.
I'm hopeful.
I'm very, very hopeful. And I think it's the right call. The right call doesn't mean all of a sudden it's going to be good. And actually what I did want to talk about is how much of a reset is this? Because you can't forget that a manager's been there for 2 seasons, but this thing, like we said, it changed when they got here. Do we press the reset? Are we back to zero here? Because you can't really do that. Because
I don't.
He's had 2 years with the squad, so it can't
like
be completely back to zero.
It's yes.
Yeah,
And no,
there has to be an element of like, well, we need to see how they get these players. I'm not used to working with Jason Wilcox and Dan Ashworth. That's going to take a bit of time to develop our relationship and how it works. But Ten Hag can't go, I can finish 8th now again because 7th.
No.
And not like, and my football's still not great because it's only a year working with INEOS. It's a new thing. No, you would have been there 3 years with a crop of players and added some in. So now we do need to start seeing progression. And that is really getting into the territory of like when people say the Arteta thing and all that. Once you go past that 2-year thing where there was a bit of rockiness in there, you have to then start seeing upwards. And that is where the pressure is going to come through transfers, through style of play, and most importantly, obviously, the biggest thing of all, results.
It's results.
We need that's the
it's
biggest
always
thing.
been results.
And
Oh,
KG,
KG the
Flex
comedian is
KG
calling
show.
me right now.
Oh, go on.
Mr. the Comedian, you're live on you're live on United View.
Yep, I tune in every morning, lads. I hope everyone's liked and subscribed.
I love the fact that he watches.
What are your thoughts that you've called in for?
I've called in just because I'm on a bit of a run of being right recently.
Well, you know, I was thinking that, KG. So I remember the Trinity last week, and we did the whole prediction or whatever. Flex said we would have a decision, he wouldn't be here. I said we wouldn't have a decision, and you said we would have a decision and he would be here. So you were right there. And I remember at the time going, KG, do you want to make a bet on it? And you said no. And it's quite funny that the last few things that you've been right on, you won't bet on.
I made no money on me.
He's learnt though. I like that. He's learnt.
It's a disgrace. But you know what? Yeah, I think when you bet, it ruins it. So like in all the era of
doesn't when you win, you get the money.
I never made a single bet. I just thought that will muddy the water. So I just enjoy the wins, and it's the win is good enough for me, if that makes sense. So now with these recent decisions, I'm like, I'm really happy. It was nice watching the fallout of Man United fans yesterday. Didn't know what side they wanted to be on. Some really like dramatic.
Are you still like harping on with the side stuff? I mean, I know this is again. I know. I mean, half is probably the wrong words. I mean, look, I've come to the realization. Like, I'm not naive. Yeah, we are not going to be united. The only thing united is the name, right? Like, we're not going to be united.
Yeah, there's people waiting for him to fail.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think there is something to be said about moving on. Of like, okay, cool, like that's done. Like the Ten Hag Defense League stuff, cool. The Ten Hag out stuff, okay, cool. But now it's transfers. It's next season.
That's right.
Let's just focus on that. You know what I mean?
I feel like I
think you're right about that, man. Look, end of the day, yeah, there's a lot that's happened in the last couple hours, and what Man United need to do, what the fans need to do, but we won't do, is come together and believe. I know some people have already put a sell-by date on when they think this thing's going to end. And in November, a lot of fans have got November, December of the Man United capitulation. But guess what, guys? We get like this right now. Pep's about to leave at the end of next season. At the end of next season, apparently. Yeah. So we need to put ourselves in the greatest stead to compete in the season after, because I know everyone thinks it's not like it's an easier league with him gone, but it will be better. And apparently, Ten Hag is the most successful manager after Pep in the Premier League right now. Who would have thought that?
No, you're right in terms of the trophies. Definitely. Just very quickly, KG, are you going to be live this morning? You were live very late last night. Are you going to be live this morning?
No, I've done a pre-record, but I'm really excited. I'm really I'm loving the show. I think right now it's on INEOS. Like the stuff I was saying in the Flexing KG show, it's on INEOS to pull their finger out and bring in some real signings, and let's see how close we can get to the pack that we're chasing last season.
Flex said just finally, can we be title challengers next season?
Not yet. I won't say it yet.
Do you want to put a bet on it?
Then listen, the strangest things have happened before in the Premier League. Just don't write us off anything. That's what I would say. I think there's trophies to be won next season. I think if we can stay fit and build a solid spine, a real good spine, don't write us off.
Damn right us off. Okay, ominous words.
Don't
Big up KG. All right, speak to you in a bit.
Right, then.
Do you know what, Owen? I was thinking, I really want us to it's a bit left, it's a bit off topic. We'll get back to the real. I really want us to win the Europa League next year.
Look, I think we've got a really good chance because of the way that it works out. The teams are the teams, basically. I
really want us to win it because actually, listen. The most important, really, out of a trophy, because we've got 2 trophies in the bag in 2 seasons. Obviously, trophy is always the most important thing, but actually, really, the most important thing actually is to not mask. Let's not mask anything with like poor performances in a league and then get a cup. What I actually want to see is like progression,
stability.
points.
Yeah.
I want stability. I want to see like a steady, not this where like, oh, one game we're amazing, then we're shit again, then we're open, then we're not, then we're scoring, then we're on a drought. I want to see a level of consistency that, and if we do that, that will put us in a position to get comfortably in the top 4, or who knows about challenging won't happen. But like, you just never know. You know, the thing of like, KG is right of like, when you just at least get to like February and you're like, oh, we're not going to win the title, but you know, we're like 8 points behind.
We're
like,
in and about, you know, that kind of thing.
You know, we're third or that's fourth, and there's like 8 points in it. We're not going to catch City, but we're not disgracing ourselves. We've got some stability. We played some good football. Kind of like the feeling we had in the first season.
Yeah.
When it was a different way now.
Where it was like, you know, we were in the title race for 5 seconds, but then after that it was like, but we're still comfortably top 4, you know, that kind of stuff. I know it got a bit close towards the end of the season, but it was pretty comfortable towards
the
end.
Do you know what I mean?
That's
so
what
I want to see us do that, and I think another just like, because he would have like kind of completed the set without like getting the big uns, which would be like quite a good way of like saying, listen, I've got a Carabao Cup, I've got an FA Cup.
That's the mentality, isn't it? It's once again.
Like, I mean, that's just in the transition period. I'm collecting, which
you forget that we were spoiled. We were spoiled for years under Sir Alex. Again, like, we won a trophy every year, near enough. And if we didn't, it was, you know, it's catastrophic. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Let's get to the super chats because there are
we've got millions.
There are loads. Tabra says, God bless Joe Blackman and the rest of the Ten Hag Defence League. It's all them. He set up the Defence League and they won. Ray Carl Brown says, morning, guys, boys. I knew Ten Hag will be there next season. Never in doubt. Come on. But let's continue the positives since the FA Cup win. I swear Ray was the opposite. Ray was moving mad, bro. Yeah, that's why he's got the sunglasses on. He's being shameless. Let's drop him a like. Let's put a heart on that one. We know what you're doing there. It's Ray and is it Show? Show was like, nah.
No, Show's not happy. Show's not happy.
Yeah. Dominic says Erik ten Hag has to be under pressure to deliver now, of course. I'm sorry, he's been given more than any previous managers. If he played like the last 3 games for the last 4 months, our season may have been a lot better. This is what we're talking about, the evolution and him being less stubborn and learning and adapting, and absolutely. And Dominic, the pressure is on 100%. Joe Blackman says, as the official leader of the Ten Hag Defence League. Is that true? Was Joe Blackman the first person to really put
think maybe
THDL on this community and say
maybe, yeah,
really? Okay, big up Joe Blackman. If you copyright it, and that's, can you not confirm in the chat? Confirm in the chat. Is this correct? Was Joe Blackman the first? Yeah. Okay. Interesting. As the leader of the Ten Hag Defence League, I would like to say justice has prevailed. THDL, stand up. Back the manager. Sunil says, yes, I'm fuming, though hope I'm proved wrong and finally get to see the dominant brand of football. Please don't ask for another season if it ain't it. And Sunil says, what's the harm to wait until November for a new contract? And Samaka has been a member for 8 months. Big up for your love and support. Says, Flex, I was going to refund my pre-season ticket if we got Southgate. Now I hope to meet you at my first ever United game on August the 3rd in South Carolina. Jamaica flags in the chat. Big up to yourself, bro. There you go. Keep the ticket, man. You don't have to sell that back, man. Just get to your first game, and hopefully we can link up as well. You know what I'm saying? Big up. Hopefully there's some Jamaican food in South Carolina. How about that? Let's link up for some Jamaican food. WJ Barrett says, how bad have the media been? We have believed for most parts they're bullshit, but actually they've known nothing. INEOS have this on lock. Time to back. I'm going to circle back to that. Interesting point. Skip there because it changed. Liam Kerr, been a member for 22 months. Big up to you, Liam. Says, big love, United View. Glad this cloud has lifted. I just hope that this perceived indecision does not come as not become a trait that we carry through the summer window. And Billionaire Kofi says, will the Erik ten Hag media hunt stop next season? No, it won't.
No,
because he's Man United manager and we're the most hated team in the whole country. So no, it absolutely won't. And when he does good, it won't be as loud. So we know that's fine. Yeah. DJ comes with a £20 super chat, by the way. There you go. You see stuff like that, yeah. Like DJ's like a full part of this channel and cast, and like shows love like that. And I'm not saying everybody has to do that. But that goes along. That just shows you the sort of like person that he is. Like, there's
absolutely.
no need for him to do that. DJ could literally message me now and say, "Oh, say this," like, just, but showing love, showing support, it's heartwarming. That's what we are. We're a family. Big up to you, DJ. It says, "Big up, lads. INEOS were only right to do their due diligence in football business. There is no sentiment." Yeah. Now we have clarity. INEOS needs to provide in this window to give Erik ten Hag the best tools to compete. Over to INEOS now. Facts. That's the best way of putting it, really. Sunil says, "This is an emotional decision coupled with the stupidity of a contract extension to an 8th place United manager. They might regret by November. They might. Or
they
people
might
could be
not.
silenced by November. We don't know."
Exactly.
Harry says, "Do we not agree that Erik ten Hag football is good when he has Leacher, for example, in his team? If so, why do people say his desired football is terrible?" Ash Odu, being a member for 23 months, says, "It's not talk of the reset. The reset started when Ten Hag first joined. It's the next stage of the project now, like Marcel. Big up
Marvel.
UV. Marvel, sorry. Marcel on the brain. Like Marvel. Let's go transfers." Milverton says, "Milverton, you must be Jamaican. Milton Richards, brother. I just put in the normal regular chat. Don't worry about putting super chat. Milverton, I will be stunned if you're not Jamaican, brother. Milverton Richards. That's a really mad name. Big up Milverton, my guy." Says, "I was Ten Hag out, but we backed the manager. My wish is to play better football and challenge for bigger trophies. This manager now have the minerals. Glory, Man United." And Ryan, sir, just has a super chat. Big up to you. Mr. Face says, "Flex, you annoyed me at some point last season regarding Erik ten Hag's position. That nearly stopped me watching the channel, LOL. But it's all love, bro. Big up." Yeah, fair enough. Mate, I had all sorts of messages. I've had people saying, "Flex, I used to respect you. Flex, you've sold out. Flex, you're a fraud now. What happened to the Flex I know from 2 years ago?" As soon as I just had my opinion and was saying how I felt, some people just, really didn't like it.
That was what I got that last night. By the way, I got that last night because I like everyone, you post out something on social media, and which was my opinion, which was, I think INEOS made the right call. And my favorite thing is people telling you what you think, even though you don't think it. That's my favorite one, which is you've always been Erik ten Hag out. Don't try and even though you haven't said that, you've always been that. And I hold my hands up. I've never come on this platform, and even off camera, it's not as if like we plonk the button, finish live, and then go, "God, get rid of that bold idiot," or anything like that. Never, ever, ever, ever. You can ask anyone I've ever had a conveation with. That's never been the case.
Fraud,
never, or he's got to go. Like, never, ever. Like I said, I was Ten Hag indifferent. I thought at points, I've mentioned this before, that if INEOS wanted to make a move, I wasn't going to be totally resistant to it. I've predicted that he wouldn't be in charge next season because I didn't think he'd get the results necessary. He got the results necessary, and I'm glad that he did. We won a trophy because of that. We're glad we did. I was wrong on that prediction, clearly on that one, and I'll hold my hands up to it. Like I said, I don't think some of the criticisms I said in the season, I don't really back down on those, like tactically, stubbornness, because I still believe that to be right. But I think those changes surrounding him, I think actually alleviate some of those things, which again, I see as a positive. But I do, like I said, that the idea, and I think we've got to realize this too, the idea that if you draw a line, so if I said today, Erik ten Hag should, back him for the next 5 years. If Manchester United are 15th, next season, he is going to naturally be under pressure. I think that as much as we ask for flexibility of the manager, we ourselves as fans have to also be a bit flexible. That things change, things evolve. Things can move in different directions, and that's okay. One thing I won't do is come on here and be like, I backed him all season. I never criticized him or anything like that, But my opinion is that I think INEOS have made the right call. I think he earned more time, definitely.
Yeah. So big up to you, Mr. Faith. It is all love, but please promise me this though, Mr. Faith. Out of having faith in me and the channel, ironically, the next time you kind of don't agree with like me or Owen, or please don't let it make you like just not watch the channel. I don't want to hear that. Like, I don't, please still watch. But I know. Listen, it is LOL, like all love, but please, like when it going gets tougher, we may disagree. Please don't be like, I'm turning that off. Never go watching them again.
That's what I like. Imagine like Flex. Imagine me and you go, oh, I think this, and I go, I think this, and I go, I've lost a lot of respect for you, Flex, because you think differently to me.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what? I'd lose.
I know.
Now, I would lose respect for someone if I think the way they've articulated it would be, I'd be like, well, I don't think that's the right way to do it. But if it's someone's opinion, I mean, my goodness me, that's when you work. That's when you do get into echo chamber situation, isn't it? I'm only going to listen to people that think the same as me. Then
well, Mr. Faith says there as well. No worries, Flex. I was just being emotional. I can imagine Mr. Faith. You know what I mean? In like, let's say, I don't know, March, when we were struggling, March, April, and that. You see him just like, oh, United View new video. Fucking get up! No, I'm watching that. Turn off the.
And so to be fair, sometimes it's like I've myself been like that. When sometimes when again it is rough. And like you said, around March, April, when you see news. Or sometimes I just can't with football today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And it comes across.
Yeah,
these guys watch us every day. It comes across when we're down or more negative than usual, and sometimes we don't maybe match up to the person that you maybe first saw on this platform or others, and then you go, oh, they've changed a little bit, and it's true. It's true. Joe Blackman says, Flex, that's how I know you don't watch KG's channel. I done a Ten Hag Defense League meeting on there. THDL stand up. Oh, sorry, I thought you meant on here. That's why I thought you meant you started it here, but it filled over to here from there. Fair play. Big up to you, Joe Blackman. Ryan Sir says, all this twerking for a dud. You demand standards for everyone else, but Erik ten Hag, pathetic. Lost 19 times in one season. Lost half of the first 10 Premier League games. Ryan, very strong there. Kenny Fan TV says, did you drink Ten Hag out as tears? I didn't. No. I didn't do the KG thing. No, I didn't do that. Again, I agreed with Owen yesterday. I do like. I've probably got a little bit more than Owen. I do like that bit of like seeing people really angry and just being so negative that they're like, it'll be over by this time, because I really do want Eric to be able to like go like that afterwards and like we're really good. But ultimately, like you said, the infighting, the bragging thing within our own fan base. Why do I want to do that against other Man United fans? I want us to all be on the same page where we can see that we're winning stuff and we're in a good spot. I want to see us do that. People who, don't see it like that, again, I don't think any less of anyone who's got a different opinion to me. That's what they're going to be on. Yeah. What I'm on is trying to be positive. Now I've like over to you, INEOS and Eric. And I'm like, right, show me now. We've got past this crap. Like, show us. Let's see. Let's get into it. The sentiment things. Yeah, I'm really happy for Eric, and he's powered through. So now I want to see him win. But if he doesn't win and he's rubbish, he's going to get sacked. And
he always mentioned this too, didn't we? There's no doubt in my mind that Erik ten Hag will be, at least somewhere in his head, will be like, hey, I could have gone very differently. That was pretty close. That was pretty close. And that definitely can't happen again next season. So that's when I push back to the whole, are you really happy that this manager that happened with this and the 8th in the league? Well, no, because he won't. That can't happen again. Because if it does happen again, then he will lose his job. He'll know that he got fortunate in that regard. Yeah, I've also seen the talk of opposition fans are really happy. Who gives a shit what the opposition fans think? Yeah. Like, who cares? And if that's the barometer, if our barometer is what opposition fans think of us, then we truly are doomed, because opposition fans always hate us. Pundits always hate us. The media hates us. So if our barometer is what they think of us, then we are totally doomed. Because I think they might be swayed or biased, a lot of them, when it comes to it. So. Yeah, like for that kind of stuff, like I said, the drinking the tears, no, because that's just not really my thing for that kind of thing. My thing, the tears I prefer to drink is when Manchester United win, and we can then go to the ops and be like, screw you, we won that game, that kind of thing. But the sort of infighting, which by the way isn't going to go anywhere, but the infighting thing, it's just not really for me.
No, it's just how it is. Yeah. Seth Rollins says, Ten Hag stay, player power gone. Sends a statement, show the players, listen, you're not getting another manager sacked. And Milverton Richards, as I suspected, Jamaican living in Texas, Soundman ting, Flex. Yes, I do. Big up. I just knew straight away. Milverton Richards. is the most yard man name I think I've
Do you
ever
think
heard.
when you got in trouble as a kid, the full name's always said? You know what I mean? All the time.
Correct.
It's not
Yes.
Milverton. It's always the full name. It's always said.
Yes, full name. Big up to you, Milverton, man. Big up, man. Big love, bro. Akash says, now we can talk about Ashworth / transfers now. Yay. Yeah, and just move on. A little just post from Paul Scholes. I'll just bring you what he said on his Instagram. He said, nice to wake up to this news, although I did think Palace away felt like the end. That was me as well. Yeah, definitely. He says, major improvements needed, but at least we have a bit of continuity and don't have to wait for a new regime to settle in. Fans have given him, Erik ten Hag, and the players incredible support and deserve better next season. Bye, with a kiss emoji. He's out. I'm out. See you later. Paul Scholes with his opinion there, sort of saying he's happy with that as well. We are nearly at 2,500 people watching live, 818 likes. Owen did an amazing job yesterday. You guys did an amazing job yesterday, actually, at getting over 1,000 likes on the video last night. Really late doors, big news. So we're definitely at least matching that with like over double the amount of people watching, by the way. 1K likes is a bare minimum today. I'd like to get to 1.5, really. I don't see why we can't get to 1.5. The manager is staying, even if you didn't want him to. We have clarity. And now it's about a new look Man United. It really is. Punjabi United says, Ten Hag plus INEOS, era begins, with a love heart. Ray Carl Brown says, for things this does for keeping Ten Hag, his player power is going. Man like Sancho and co, future players now have to play for the team. Yeah, let's sort of pivot. Like, I wanted to circle back to this notion that which not loads of people are saying, but I wanted to maybe circle back to the INEOS side of it. Or a couple of people said, look, it shows that, let's break this down now we can, Owen, right? It shows that actually nobody really knew what their decision was going to be, because David Ornstein, literally within 24 hours, he said, I give up. That is David Ornstein. And he's such a goat, by the way. The next day he breaks the news. But that's another story. But even he said, I don't know. Romano, very reluctant to sort of get involved and really put his name to anything. Meanwhile, the UK journals were just doing gymnastics to just everything. It was just
they got to write something.
Yeah? They got to write something. So they wrote about the uncertainty and went left, went right, went left, went right, in the middle. And we all just went like this, right? To the point where, and this is like I'm doing our own review on this now, of our own sort of thoughts and feelings. We were sort of angry, started getting a bit twitchy. We're like, no, this isn't right. We sat here and said, what more do you need to know? What more evidence do you need to see? Other people were like, no. Even people who wanted Ten Hag out, because they were probably thinking this is good because he looks like he might leave. No. Yeah. Finally, INEOS are doing things that you don't know what they're going to do, taking their time to make a big decision, and you lot are moaning. This is exactly what we've been asking for, actually, for people to take their time, football people to make the right decisions, look around, make sure you've got what you need in place, and then make a decision. Don't listen to fan opinion. Then you had people saying, they're just like the Glazers. This is, now this is all said and done, right? Took 3 weeks. What was it? 7? How long did it take? Yeah, about 3 weeks.
2.5 weeks, something like that.
2.5 weeks. Took 2.5 weeks. My question to you, Owen, and every single one of you in the chat now, this is good chat. Do they deserve a bit more credit with where they've ended up to be? Or are we fixated on like, well, no, it still took too long after the FA Cup final and it wasn't handled right? Because it was leaks and stuff. Where are we on how well they've done versus how well they haven't?
It's really interesting because I'm really glad you brought this up, because there does seem to be a lot of debate on this one. And I think that it stems from, again, people not knowing a lots of things. So I think which is what we always wanted. There's a couple of different schools of thought, isn't there? There's one school of thought, which is like you said, they've kept things really, really close. Nothing really got out. The decision was made yesterday. Nobody really knew about it until Ornstein said, boom, it's done. And by the way, that kind of pushes back on, there were people going, well, you're just never going to hear anything if Erik ten Hag's going to stay. He's just going to stay. You're never going to hear anything. He's just going to be there for the tour. The pushback was, you're going to hear something. There's going to be an Ornstein or whatever who's going to break the story. And then that's exactly what happened. Now, there are others that are like, well, maybe saying that they always had this mindset going through and they kept things very close is a bit maybe giving INEOS too much credit, suggesting that the ambiguity and the uncertainty surrounded by, they weren't sure what they were going to do until yesterday, because they were talking to other managers, they were talking to other people and what have you. So Where is the truth in it all? Unfortunately, it's probably somewhere in the middle, isn't it? I think that they've definitely kept things tighter than Man United fans are used to. And I think that has led to uncomfortableness because as much as we bemoan it, we bemoan the leaks and we bemoan the constant flow of information, it's what we're used to, isn't it? We're used to constantly getting information, getting information, but it's like a drug. You know what I mean? So when we don't get it, we start going through withdrawals and we're like, oh,
where is it? Why are we in the dark?
Why do we know anything? Why don't we know anything? So there's this panic of it. Now, I do think some of the criticism, I think, is valid in the sense of, as we said, if you are talking to lots of other managers, and we cannot pretend that they were not, because they were, that does lead people to sort of go, what's going on a little bit there? Or how certain were you with Eric and what have you? But I do look at what happened yesterday with, there were talks, concrete talks with Eric Ten Hag, so much so that not only are you staying, but let's talk about a new contract. That, as I said to Minna last night, that's not ad hoc. You put that in the diary. That's planned. And those talks came together without anybody knowing. So very clearly, the leaks that did come out at different points, i.e. the McKenna stuff and the Tuchel stuff, like we said at the time, don't think that was an INEOS leak. That, to me, is leaks coming from like McKenna's people or the Chelsea people that were involved in that, or Thomas Tuchel's people, because I do think with the Thomas Tuchel stuff, there was a rush to try and save face in that regard. I didn't get really rejected. I decided I was going to go on holiday. I decided I was going to take a break, that kind of thing. So for me, I think that definitely that sort of source of information is a lot tighter than it used to be. But I do think INEOS would have seen also how quickly information can get out there once it's outside of Manchester United. You know what I mean? Once it's outside of those people, like Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Sir Dave Brailsford, or whatever, once it's outside of that, once you start getting involved with agents or other parties, it'll get out there that quickly. So that's going to be, I think, really interesting to see how that plays when it comes to transfers, because we've seen a situation where there hasn't been a lot of information because it's Manchester United reviewing Manchester United. So no one really wants to leak that info. But once it gets out to other people, external parties, maybe we're going to start to see that information come back. I'm not sure. What say you?
I say, I feel like if we had continued in this vein, not hearing, and then we're like, all of a sudden, he's gone, and we didn't have no plan, and we've got to go and find a manager, we would have been absolutely fuming. Absolutely fuming. And when I look at the whole situation now, I feel like, although there's some collateral and we got a bit angry, I feel like they've done the right thing, you know. And I don't even mean just by getting to the right conclusion that I wanted. I mean by like what they actually had to do as new people coming in. It probably did take a bit long, but the process of like, you come in, you have to look at everything. You have to almost say to that person, which we're not privy to, because what we're seeing now is that Eric's okay with these conversations that have happened. Like, he has been kept in the loop and understood that. I don't know if that's true, but let's say it is.
Well, if he gets a new contract, then I think those feelings will be forgotten pretty quickly, because that is backing, isn't it?
Exactly, that's backing. So what my thing is that, like, well, I'm new in. I've spent a lot of money to have the football side of this. I have to rustle feathers. I have to not act on sentiment. And some people could be pissed off along this, but it's not my problem. I'm coming in here to change Man United for the better. And if that means people get pissed off along the way, that needs to happen. Now, I need to talk to other people to work out what that would look like. You know, you have to understand that. I'm new here. I need to see who the best person to lead this is going to be. It may or may not be you. In an ideal world, what we all wanted is for them to come straight in and say, well, one thing we have decided instantly is we want stability in that man in the hot seat. Yes, it's been a bad season. He will be our guy next season. That's what we wanted. But football decisions at that level, they don't work like that, especially when you purchase a big part of a club and it's your decision. You know, historically, usually that guy goes. Usually it doesn't, this bit doesn't happen, actually. So they've broke the mold. So I think they're right to sort of look about a bit. And I know that feels horrible because people say, no, it shows that everyone turned us down. And I don't see it as everyone turned us down and we just got stuck with Eric. I actually don't. I think it was a mixture of, they sounded out the people that they thought could be potential candidates, had chats with them, and maybe I'm naive for believing the bit that's now come after it, but they've come to the decision that no, out of all these guys that we had a look at, it is best to stick with Eric with what we've looked at, and we think we can give him the right environment, and Eric believes it too. So I'm annoyed that it took a bit too long, but when I look at it, the fact that we didn't know, now I think about it, it's probably a good thing. The fact that the media were guessing and didn't really know what INEOS had put down until it was here we go vibes, I actually quite like, because that is different to what it has been. And then now you're looking at, it's funny how things change, and people could, I haven't seen the comments, I've just got it screen on you at the minute. People could be completely disagreeing with me here, but like, I feel that like we've been, if you look at their body of work now, even though now this has only just happened last night, if you look at their body of work since coming in, they've ripped out the old regime very quickly. They've replaced them very quickly, albeit a couple of them still not quite in yet, but we know what the forecast is. They've done due diligence in a weird way, but annoyed us a bit, but they've now provided stability, and with that made a statement to say he's our guy, we're gonna back him.
I think
And
that's the key bit. That's the key bit.
I think that's as much as they couldn't have done any more overall now. Overall, from February to now.
Well, I think whilst I don't necessarily, I appreciate the due diligence, and I do think there had been an element of it. I think it was almost less of an exercise for Manchester United. I think it was more an exercise for themselves, in the sense that I think in their mind's eye, it was critical. We looked at all of these people that have come in. You mentioned Omar Barada, Dan Ashworth, Jason Wilcox. I will die on this hill. INEOS guys, INEOS hires. And I think somehow they needed, for Eric Ten Hag to stay, which he is now, I think he had to sort of be transformed into an INEOS hire somehow. And I do think that is by him becoming the head coach, them doing this review, talking to other people, and then selecting Eric. It's almost like they had to do a recruitment process, and they hired, and they almost had to have the mindset that they hired Ten Hag themselves, and they've almost done that by talking to all of these other people and selecting who they believe is the best candidate, and it just happens to be the guy that was already there. And then by changing his role, by giving him a new contract, right? He's an INEOS hire now, even though he was kind of already here. Do you know what I mean? And I think they needed to do that. So I don't know if it was more an exercise for the betterment of United, or just an exercise of, this is what we've set up this environment. We've set up this structure. We tweaked Ten Hag a little bit and shifted him into this role. That's what's the best out of him. Now he's an INEOS guy. Now he's an INEOS hire. This is the INEOS structure. And I feel like that's what they needed to do. And that's why I push back on this thing about their Glazers 2.0, because I still stand by the hires that they have done thus far are good hires.
They're the complete opposite of what the Glazers would do and have done. The Glazers have been there 17 years, 18 years, whatever it is. What is it? Nearly 20 years now. When did they come? 05. Can't remember.
Oh, the Glazers? Yeah, 04, 05.
Yeah. So nearly 20 years.
And obviously Malcolm Glazer was a shareholder long before that.
Before that, yeah, until he bought us all out overall. What was I going to say? Yeah, in them 20 years, this couldn't be any more un-Glazer-like. They've literally undone all the Glazers as people who helped contribute to us being like this. Post, David Gill and Kenyon and all the top people who helped Man United become what it was under Sir Alex. The Glazers kept the bit after that, from 2013 onward, was absolutely shambolic. Absolutely shambolic. And only in 2023/2024 has that been undone straight away. Like, INEOS have not wasted any time. INEOS have said to us what they want to do and how they want to do it, and said obviously they need time. But they've also ripped things up already, straight away. They've done, for where we are before the window's even open. Now, let's be honest, even if you don't like the way it happened or this or that, what you cannot argue with is we're in, I think, the best place structurally. Apart from, you would change that it would be nice if Ashworth was actually in and Omar. I get that.
And the Glazers was not still majority shareholders of the club.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously.
So you can't get everything. But in terms of the things that INEOS can control,
the football side of things,
the football side of it, well, we're going into the transfer window, knowing who our manager is, knowing, what his stipulations are. He's going into it knowing he's going to be the manager, and the conversations that he's had. And we're going into that before the window's even open, with the people we know being ripped out and ready to embark on new decisions and attack this window in hopefully, because it's over to INEOS now, in hopefully a way that we've never done before. So fair play, all before the Euro starts as well.
And you take it in parts too, because I'm sure there'll be people that, well, I'm not going to give him praise until I see the transfers or whatever, which is fair.
That's fine.
But I
agree with that.
But I think if you take it in chunks, so if you were to judge them on what they have done already, not what they've yet to do in the future, because the window's not even open yet. It opens in 2 days' time. And we have to wait to the end of it to see how we can judge a transfer window. We always say that, don't we? But from what they have done thus far, John Murtough gone, Richard Arnold gone, new people have come in. We're closer to getting either a revamped or new stadium than we have ever been in the process.
Exactly.
They're saying that could come to a conclusion as to what the decision is by the end of the year, so about 6 months' time, because it's a big project. There has been money put into the club. It's just serviced the debt, which is incredibly frustrating. But it's the first time money's been pumped in for a while. That to me is positive stuff thus far. Is there still work to do? Is it like with Ten Hag? Is it blanket? They've done a great job, I'm never going to criticize. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because there's still things to judge on, and there's still things that need to be undone and improved. But I think at the moment, like I said, particularly with this manager stuff, I don't know. The more I think about it, this review just felt more like an exercise to INEOS as opposed to Manchester United. They, in their mind, we had to go through this to get our guy. Now, Erik ten Hag's our guy, so we can back our guy. He wasn't our guy previously.
Exactly. It
now
didn't
he's
feel
our
good,
guy.
but we had to. It had to happen. We're new. We're trying to change stuff. Like, we're not here to just like. Yeah, they're here to like make us happy again by making Man United great again. But in the lead up to that, Sir Jim Ratcliffe has shown us already in some of these interviews and how he's moving that they're not scared to sort of like ruffle the feathers and not. They didn't just when that fan backlash was like quite bad of like, make sure you don't sack him. They didn't buckle and be like, oh, let's just put out a statement to try and like calm down. And they just stuck to like what they want to do and their process. And now it's come out that that's where they've got to. And remember, I was saying to KG and you, like, it's not a club statement with the corner flag. It was never good. It doesn't need to be that. It only needs to be that once he gets an extension. To be fair, you have to announce that. Yeah. But it's just strong wording from the sources that are breaking it that United say X, United say Y, and that's enough. And then, like you said, he turns up for the first day of preseason, and that everything's.
And by the way, when it does come to the transfers in INEOS, whatever, I would also say, in fairness, we do also have to have realistic expectations with the transfers. If we don't have a whole different side, I don't think it's fair to be like, oh, INEOS is shit. Transfers or whatever. We do have to be realistic as to what we can do. I'd be looking at it going, if there's a particular sale or a particular incoming where you go, well, that is different. In years why we wouldn't have done that.
That shows something.
That's when you go, okay, I can hold on to that. I think if you're the hope is there's going to be somewhat of an overhaul. There might not be. It might take a couple of years, or it might be until next summer when everyone's in that happens. But like I said, for me, the early signs thus far are positive, and I think they got the right decision when it comes to that.
Yeah, absolutely. To finish off, very calm. Punjabi, did I say very calm one? Punjabi United.
Yeah,
Punjabi United. Punjabi United says, I think even with transfers, we would not have leaks. And these guys might be already advanced with targets. By the way, Ornstein is the real GOAT. Yeah, he definitely is. And GJE been a member for 13 months. Big up to you, bro. Says, happy with the decision. In hindsight, INEOS taking their time was right. I feel they made Erik ten Hag interview for his role again to ensure he was their guy. Essentially, like you have to, you can't just be like, well, I was the manager before, so I should be. No, you have to reconvince us because we weren't there then. You know what I mean? And whether you think that's right or wrong, like GJ just said there, they basically made him audition again and had conversations and vice versa. Erik has to see them. Erik has to align. And to be fair to Erik, he always did state that positive discussions, we see each other for the future, we're ready to build, this, that, and the other. They understand. I think one of them, when he said, I think they understand about the injuries, and they,
one of them was like, again, this is when he was very bullish at the end of the season, was like, well, they wouldn't get, if someone, they'd have common sense. They understand common sense. That kind of thing.
Yeah. So he was, if they would have got sacked, it would have been like, oh, saying INEOS didn't have common sense then. Do you know what I mean? So he's always, Eric in public has always said this. I'm not saying you have to believe everything he says in public because he's got to defend himself. But, you know, right up until the end when the media were literally on the pitch after the FA Cup final was saying, do you know if you're going to go, or in the presser was saying, he was forced then to say, listen, I've got this cup next to me. Look, whatever. If they get rid of me, mate, I'm just going to go carry on and win. That's the first time he really pushed back a bit. But he still maintained quite a lot that injuries, like, and he even said it in that one. He goes, anyone who knows football, like, you don't have your players, you don't get the performances you want. It's just that simple. He's stuck to that. So there you go. There you go. Well,
we missed a little bit on Mason Greenwood, by the way.
Oh my God.
Very quickly, very quickly,
yes.
very quickly.
Yeah, forgot.
So there was a bit from Gianluca Damasio saying that Juventus now expect to sign Mason Greenwood in the coming weeks. Manchester United's asking price starts from £42 million, but Juventus have started the negotiations at £25 million plus bonuses. It has also been speculated, Flex, there could be a possible swap deal involved. I know Juventus are actually involved in a swap deal at the moment with Aston Villa for Douglas Luiz, which I can't believe Villa are actually really entertaining. They're going to get like a penny.
But then
but they need money. Need money.
They are out of the players that they've got. When I was speaking to a lot of Villa fans, it's interesting when you hear something first, you go, why'd you do that? But then you speak to the actual fans who know a bit more about their team. They're like, listen, he came as a 21-year-old. Like, we've had him quite a while. He's done well to stay this loyal, and he's one of our biggest sellable assets for this PSR bullshit. So it makes sense. I
think they say 60 million before the end of the month or something like that. So.
And like Weston McKennie's not like the replacement. Like the other kid who's coming is supposed to be like all right for the future as well. And Emery's like, yep, give me him. Ross Barkley, they'll find a way around it. So yeah.
But you know, Juventus could be in for Greenwood. So as we mentioned, now all eyes turn to transfers. So he's one of our sellable assets, of course, a pure profit from an FFP perspective. And if we are to move how we would like to move in the transfer market, got to sell players, and it looks like Greenwood is going to be one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, we need that revolving doors, don't we, of getting some money in. So I think we know with Sancho and Greenwood that that's clearly what it will be. Just double checking before we leave. Yeah, big up. We got over 1,000 likes. Well done, each and every one of you. 1,040. So let's get to 1,050 on the way out. You lot can do that. I believe in you. Get 11 more on the way out. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. KG has a pre-record going out at some time in his life. So if you haven't seen that, then go check it out. Or you're waiting for it, make sure you check it out. Make sure you subscribe to Owen Wrestle 365555.
So someone says in the chat there, SLD, Owen, will you back England or Wales? I'm not Welsh.
Yeah, why do they think that?
I'm not Welsh, and of course I'll back England in the Euros. I want England to win the Euros. I don't think they will, but of course, if they do, my goodness me, huge credit to Gareth Southgate. But I don't know.
Yeah,
that's going to happen.
Absolutely. No. And if there is any more breaking news, like there was last night, we will be bringing you it, whatever it is. It's transfer season. So, yes. And the window opens when? Friday?
Yes, Friday. It's going to be a big Friday. Of course, Euros begin, window opens and what have you. So hopefully we have some news by then.
Absolutely. Guys, take care. See you later. Big up for the love. Get involved in the chat. And everyone getting involved in the chat, should I say. See you again soon. Take care. Peace.